Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Dismal in Disguise. In this episode of Dismal in Disguise, we are going to talk about how to decorate your playing space to accommodate for more of a creepy, dismal, and Halloween themed tone. Now, this episode of Dismal in Disguise is the final episode of Dismal in Disguise for October 2019. If you did enjoy the series, then please make sure to hit that like button, go ahead and post a comment down below if you have any advice, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, without further ado, let's get right into today's video. Welcome to D20 in Disguise. We're going to be dividing up decorating your playing space for a more Halloween theme into 3 different sections. Collecting all of your objects, props, lighting, sound, whatever. Setting up all of your decor, all of your just flavor items around the room and getting the basic feel down. And thirdly, adding all of your lighting and sound system and just adding that just tinge of feel to the actual playing space. So let's jump right into collecting all of your decor items, lighting, sound system, and the like. So, what kind of items should you use to decorate your playing space? Well, that kind of depends on what kind of tone you're going for. Are you going for just generally creepy? Are you going for more of a classic Halloween feel? Are you going for an actual dungeon feel or some other theme? Some of my favorite themes are Alchemist Brewery, Spider's Den, and of course your classic dungeon. However, for the decor which I'm going to be doing in this episode, I'm just going to be doing an all-around, generally creepy feel just to get the basics down. So, what kind of items should you include in your generally creepy decor? Now, actually, in my backdrop here, there's actually quite a few good examples of objects which you can use. Some of which including maybe the orange string lights, the lantern I have down at the bottom there, the scimitar which I have hung up against the back of the bookshelf, the caution sign split in half, and the small bear skull. All of these objects have a bit of an unsettling vibe, and each of them definitely point to a specific theme. For example, the caution sign split in half you might want to use for more of a modern game, because if you're running a medieval game, you wouldn't really want that in your room decor because it doesn't fit the overall style and theme of the world. Objects such as this hand-drawn sketch within a picture frame fit into most styles which you could really want in a sort of medieval world or even a modern. So you're kind of going for objects which could fit in a multitude of worlds, and especially your theme, your world. Here are some more examples of decor objects which you might use in your room for a generally creepy feel. Now, let's move on to choosing your lights. Now, I personally may have a few more options in this field, as I have the orange string lights back there. I also have a small spotlight and 2 little clip-on lights, which are actually quite nice for small little pools of light which you may need in a small area. Now, of course, you can also just make this work with maybe just 2 of these orange string lights, which would be fine too if the room which you're playing in already has good base lighting. But if you can go the extra step and get those nice little detailer lights to really make the players look where you want them to, it really does add a nice feel. It really pushes it over and above. Also, as per the Halloween season, orange is the way to go for lighting. Now, you can cause an orange hue a few ways. You can have colored gels over the light. You can actually colored bulbs, which was what I personally use. Or you can just have naturally tinted orange lights like the string lights back there. Here's a quick picture of my setup for lighting. Now, let's quickly cover sound. All I used was a simple wireless speaker, which I actually got for free at a convention, and Sirenscape. Now, Sirenscape is an amazing tool for playing ambient sound and music for your games. Now, if you haven't already checked out Sirenscape, there will be a link in the description. It's completely free. I would highly recommend it, but I'm actually going to hopefully be doing a future video on D&D music solutions, so I'm not going to go super in depth. All I'm going to say is that I had a little wireless speaker that I put underneath the table, and I had this speaker hooked up to my phone, which was playing from Sirenscape. Now, this added a nice kind of surround sound feel. You couldn't really exactly tell where the music and the sounds were coming from because it was directly underneath the table. It's as if the game was making noise, which is really a cool effect in my opinion. So now that you have all of your decor items, all of your decorations, all of your lights, and your sound systems all ready to go, now it's time to actually get into your play space and actually start decorating. When first setting up shop in your room, I would highly suggest just on the table which you're going to be playing on, just picking up in loads and setting down all of the different decor objects, all of your lighting, and all of your sound devices on the table. Now, just organize those different objects into lighting and sound and different themes of objects. For example, I had a lot of like bone associated objects like skulls and small pieces and bits of real bone and some fake bones. So I had that in one group. And then I had a lot of glass bottles and little vials and a lot of glass objects. So that was a pile. And then I had some picture frames, and that was a pile. And it's nice to have just an organized pile to draw from. Oh, I'm gonna have a piece of this, and a piece of this, and a dash of this. And it really allows you to be organized before a session. Also, another quick tip. If you're setting up in a room which doesn't exactly have the furnishings of a D&D room, maybe this room is used for something else. For example, the room which I was playing in, it was actually a sewing room. So what I did to remedy all of the different objects on shelves and such, I went ahead and draped over some just plain single-tone blankets underneath. Why? Bookshelves and smaller shelves and dressers and anything which felt out of place. Then I was able to place props over that, on top of that blanket, so it felt much more at home. And remember, when you're actually setting up in your room, try to think about what you're actually going to get through in the story in this session, and try and play off of that. For example, the session which I decorated for and did kind of as a Halloween special, the players fell into the Underdark and had to escape while being hunted down by a lower beholder. For this reason, you can kind of go with more of a cavernous feel. Now, I didn't actually have the time to do this, but if you want to make the commitment for this, you definitely can. I'm sure it would look great if you really followed the theme of what was going to happen in the session. Now let's broaden our scope a bit to the entire campaign. Now, when decorating your room, you want to think about what are the main themes in your campaign. So, for example, maybe your campaign is about a giant spider queen coming back from the dead and taking revenge on those which killed her 8 sisters. You could really go all in and add a few like really spider-themed props. Or maybe your campaign is about travelings in the desert. You could have a lot of sand, not actual sand scattered around the room, but more desert-themed things. Like, for example, I have this small little bottle filled with sand, and this would fit right in with more of a desert-themed room. This can actually be seen in one specific table which I set up for my room. On one side, there's exploration and new spices and a new world to be discovered, and on the other side, death and calamity. Now, this actually has something to do with the campaign which I'm doing, but I'm not going to spoil that because I know players do watch this. So yeah. So you want to think about what's actually going to happen in the session, and you also want to think about what are the main themes of the campaign and draw from those. Now, why does this matter? I feel like it matters because it really ties everything together. What the players have been seeing in the real world around the gaming table also is synonymous to what is actually going on in the game and the themes which are in the campaign. All of it ties together, and sometimes they can even tell why it ties together. It just does. And that is an amazing thing which you should definitely try to achieve. And this theme decor can really help you do that. Now that we've covered how to actually decorate your room and start getting a nice feel and theme to your room, now we're going to go more on the technical side and talk about light. Let's get right into it. To start us off, let's talk about what I did in my room. Now, I had 3 custom light sources which I added into the room. A small orange spotlight underneath a couch, shining towards the player's feet. Orange string lights wrapping around the back of the couch which the players were sitting on, and a small just clamp-on light just backlighting some objects which I had kind of displayed across this longer table. Let's talk about why I put each of these lights where they were. I feel like the 2 main reasons which you put a light somewhere when decorating a room are either for creativity and simulation, or to highlight a certain area which you want the players to look at. Now, I feel like the orange spotlight underneath the couch shining out onto the floor is definitely more on the creative and simulation side. I feel like it really simulates the orange glowing light just shining underneath the door in front of the PCs. And it just adds a really creepy feel. I feel like something's lurking underneath the couch, just waiting to snap up one of the players. Not literally, but it does have that feel. Now, the small clamp-on light and the string lights were meant more for highlight. The string lights highlighted where the actual players were going to sit down, and the small clamp-on light highlighted and backlit some of the objects which I had lined up on the long table. Now, the string lights also snaked across the rim of that long table, and that was for more creative effect. See, I had some bottles, a collection of bottles laying on that long table, and I have found, you can actually see it in my backdrop right here, I'll show you a picture of that, but you can actually kind of light up the bottles in a very distinct way with string lights. And this is a very cool effect which I found, and I really wanted to simulate it. Firstly, I tried doing it with a small little electric candle behind the bottles, which sadly didn't really work. So I resorted to actually putting the orange string lights roped around the rim of the long table, and then also the rim of the couch which the players were going to be sitting on. So the string lights were both creative in one section of them, and also highlighted something which I wanted the players to look at in another. Anyway, I think that's pretty well covered. I know this episode of the Miniature Menagerie was a bit shorter than the others, but I did try and fill in as much as I could, explaining why I did what I did for the decor in the room which I designed. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below if you have any questions for me about this episode of Dismal in Disguise, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single one of my videos. I personally really enjoy doing this series. It was an absolute blast. Some of the best videos on my channel are within Dismal in Disguise, and I just really enjoyed the series. It was a great time, and I hope all of you enjoyed it as much as I did. Anyway, you all have a great day. Keep on creating, and I will see you in the next video.